What's up guys, Barry Gaming here, back with some more AFK Journey, and today we're going to be talking about one of the newer heroes, or I should say newest hero that has come out, and I've been using a lot this past weekend even though I haven't had time to make videos, Lucca. So there's a couple areas this hero really kind of thrives in, and much like Tassie, kind of falls off in other areas. This is another hero that's going to do pretty decent in PvP, very well in AFK deficit pushing, is non-existent at this point in Dream Realm, and even in battle drills, not that great. Now, the reason why he's being used right now very well in AFK deficit pushing is because of the sheer survivability. We talked about this last week. He is by far the tankiest of tanks that we have seen in the game. Literally, you can throw him in a lineup against enemies and survive 1v5 for the entire 90-second battle. And that really comes down to a couple of his skills here I want to talk about. The shield portion is really big here. So he gains a shield every 8 seconds equal to a certain percent of his physical defense and magic defense. He then shoulders into an enemy, dealing damage. The important part here is he also interrupts them. So if they're like casting anything or anything like that, like a smoky aura, is going to interrupt them, and then it also disarms them for 4 seconds. Beyond that, every 12 seconds, he removes all dispellable debuffs from himself while also being able to just get out of it if he's already under one, while also reducing the damage he takes by at least 35%. Once you go all the way to Supreme Plus, every time he does this every 12 seconds, he also heals for 15% of his HP. And then, of course, he just gets better and better supporting his team when you get him the Mythic Plus unlock and everything. But like I said last week, I showed this off. I'm kind of hoping I can do it yet again here. You can literally just chuck Lucca in here all by him lonesome, and a lot of these battles he will actually survive, especially if we get like the I mean, actually I wonder how Iron Wall works on here. That actually could be pretty strong too. But even just going with like Resonating Spell or something like that, he is an extremely tanky hero. You can see the shield popping in. You can see his health like is draining, but it's not nearly as fast as some other heroes. You can see that heal, the shield coming in. He survives so much longer than any other hero could in this situation as a tank. And in reality, you could probably use even something different here if we wanted to as well, a heal or something like that. He's just a very good hero for deficit pushing. Now, me personally, this is the one thing I want to talk about with this hero is, do you need this hero on your account? Because you might already have some really strong teams. If you already have an Almas on your account, I feel like you can say probably no when considering Lucca on your account. I feel like they kind of fit the same niche. It's kind of like how when Almas came out, Granny was a good tank to use in deficit pushing. But then once people realize just how strong Almas can be, how he won't die immediately in the battle, he'll just teleport to the back line. He does something very similar with Lucca, and that is crowd control and tanking hits. So even though Almas does, I feel like, combo better with someone like Aaron, I think if you're running a different type of team, this tank can be extremely good. And honestly, going something like Verdant Spell with him can be extremely strong. But this is a hero where you don't necessarily need to go with the heroes you might think. You might want to instinctively go with some sort of team like this to get like a faction bonus or something. But even going with some other heroes like Maulers, he can be extremely good on the front line. So a team that I love running is Shakir and Soren with him. Beyond that, running Mikola for this melee-s type build, and then even going with someone tanky with Antandra too, and leaving most of the damage up to the Soren does end up working out pretty well a lot of times. Here, I'm going to show you guys this right here. Having him in the front, especially with Antandra, very good. And again, having this very offensive melee type team, it's nice seeing the Maulers being useful in AFK deficit pushing, because a lot of times you don't. You see here, going for the Antandra a little bit over the top there. This is a perfect situation though for you to get use out of your Odie. If you've been having your Odie just kind of sit on the bench, not doing anything, he can be an awesome pick here, because most of the time with this type of team, your backline is going to be very safe. And Soren really synergizes well with this team too, because Soren and Mikola I love as a combo here, because whenever he drops below, I think it's like 50%, he starts healing. So between that and Mikola, he makes for a really good frontline tank with them. And then of course, having a Mythic Plus Shakir, having that Lupine aura giving damage reduction, you can see how strong this front line is, taking on these stages here very easily. while also just letting Odie do his thing, because sometimes it's really difficult getting Odie to be able to do what he needs to do. And you see right here, we're not a crazy high deficit push. We're at 38 million versus a 57. Oh, actually, that's not even the right battle we were looking at. We were looking at regular AFK, 45 versus 43. So we are in the positive right here. So this is something where you can kind of make anybody work in these situations. So that's the one downside of showing you in this situation, is you can pretty much drop him out. You can throw in Antandra instead, and you'd probably get similar results. Because again, Antandra, another very, very tanky hero. But I do think the one thing that he does different compared to her is the fact that if somebody does jump to the back line of your Odie, he does basically sprint to your Odie, grab that enemy, chuck them back to where he was, and then continues on. So you can see here, very, very easy. I do need to push our regular stages here. But Talent Trials is one that we have been kind of messing around with. I like my Wilder type team, and I've been messing around adding him into teams like this instead of like a Freyasto. But again, this is another thing, is if you have Freyasto, if you have Almas, if you have even Thorin for PvE situations, you can use him here too. Do you actually need this hero? And honestly, my answer early on is a no. We're not doing like a final grade on this hero just yet, but it's just, he fits a very similar niche that we have already been using. Like we're already been getting use out of certain heroes here. I feel like while he can be an amazing front row tank, it really just comes down to, do you need it? Because there's no other utility that these other tanks can't do. I would say Almas is just as good as him in PvP. I'd say Almas is just as good, if not better, when it comes to AFK deficit pushing and stuff like that. I would also say in PvP, Almas I'd rather almost have, especially pairing with Aaron. Granted, Aaron is falling off a little bit with how many Lily Mays are in the meta and everything. You see here, this is the Tassie team I like running right now with Florabelle too, running 0 supports. You're literally going for like 100% uptime on different types of CC and everything, and denial, and I just love this type of team. Lucca and Tassie are 2 heroes that you absolutely do not need on your team, but if you want them for very niche specific situations, they're going to be extremely, extremely good. And we'll take a look at the scorecard here at the end to show you guys the battle here at number 2. Yeah, he can tank damage pretty dang well. I do like adding him to a team with like a Damien type healer. I think he has potential to be better once we get more light bearers in this season, because again, we have the least light bearer, I think, A levels and S levels right now in the game, and we should be getting at least 2, if not like 3 more by the end of the season. So right now, I don't think you need this hero, especially if you've already built other tanks. If you haven't built those other tanks and you really like Lucca, he is a good opportunity. The average player probably can pass on him for right now. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I'll continue to be testing him and give you guys our final grade as we go through a lot of different game modes. I'll see you guys next time.